the Baltic states, since the time of Peter I, an official decree was in force. It was forbidden to appear in the city riding on moose. Not on horses, on moose, because people really did ride them, and they rode so fast that the police simply could not catch up with them. The Swedish army used moose as war horses back in the 15th century. Northern peoples harnessed them to sleds thousands of years before that, and Soviet military officials in '41 were seriously developing a moose cavalry project for the Red Army. But this is not just a curiosity from a history textbook. This is the key to understanding who the moose really is. Not the good-natured giant from a children's book, not just a big deer that is sometimes seen near the highway, but one of the most complex, most unpredictable, and most underrated animals on the planet. An animal that kills more people in road accidents than sharks do worldwide in an entire year. An animal that single-handedly attacks bears and emerges victorious. An animal that humanity has tried to tame for millennia and has never been able to completely. Today, we will break down the moose for real, without cartoon pictures and without a boring encyclopedia. Where did this beast come from? How is it built? What is it capable of? And why is it still so difficult to come to terms with it? Neither for people, nor for bears, nor even for entire states. If you are interested in the wild world, subscribe right now. New videos about animals and nature come out here every week. Let's start with the sizes, because without this, everything else simply does not work. The moose is the largest representative of the deer family on planet Earth. Not one of the largest, the largest. The body length of an adult male can reach 3 meters. The height at the withers is up to 2 meters 30 centimeters, and the weight is from 360 to 600 kilograms. In the Russian Far East and in Canada, individuals weighing up to 655 kilograms are found. This is more than an average horse, significantly more. But numbers are one thing, and the real sensation is completely different. I grew up near a forest park where moose lived constantly. We went skiing there in winter and cycling in summer. Encounters with moose were a common thing. In winter, I always saw tracks in the snow, gnawed branches at shoulder height and higher. Gradually, I got so used to it that I stopped paying attention. Well, a moose. So what? A big deer lives in the forest and eats branches. Big deal, that feeling of habit. It is dangerous. And I realized this one day, very concretely, but more on that a bit later. For now, remember the main thing. When you stand next to a living moose, the numbers 2 meters 30 cease to be just numbers. This is a creature that looks down on you literally, and at the same time has not even stood up to its full height yet. Why is the moose so big? This is not an accident of evolution. It is an exact response to specific habitat conditions. Northern forests are an environment where in winter the snow can reach 70 centimeters and higher, where you need to break through windfalls where predators hunt in packs. Long legs are snowshoes. Large weight is a thermal mass that maintains temperature in a 40-degree frost. A massive body is an energy reserve for the winter when there is almost no food. The moose is not just an animal, it is an engineering solution for a specific task. And it has been working for several million years. Now about the structure, because the moose looks a bit strange from the outside. And this is also not accidental. Its neck is short, the torso is relatively compact, but the legs are disproportionately long. The front legs are longer than the hind legs. Because of this, to drink water, the moose is forced either to go deep into the water or to stand on its wrists, that is, literally kneel. This looks awkward, but functionally, it is perfect. The same long legs allow it to stand chest deep in water and get algae from the bottom without diving. The head is heavy, with a humpbacked nose and a swollen upper lip that hangs heavily over the lower one. This lip is not a decorative detail. It is mobile and very sensitive. The moose uses it almost like a hand, grabs branches, tears off leaves, feels surfaces. In terms of the accuracy of working with food, this lip is comparable to an elephant's trunk, of course, on a smaller scale, but the principle is the same. The ears are huge, wide, and mobile. They move independently of each other. Each ear can turn in its own direction. A moose is capable of hearing sounds at a distance of several kilometers. At the same time, its vision is poorly developed. It fails to see a person standing still from just a few tens of meters away. That is why the main sense organs of a moose are not eyes, but the nose and ears. Under the throat of a moose hangs a soft, leathery growth. It is called a bell, although it looks more like a beard. The length of this bell can reach 40 centimeters. What is it for? There is still no exact answer. One version is for thermoregulation, another is for identifying individuals within the species, and a third is simply a side result of evolution that does not bother anyone. In males, the bell is usually larger, and the bigger it is, the more attractive the male is to females during the breeding season. The moose's fur is brownish-black on the back and sides. The legs from the middle of the shin down are light gray, almost white. In winter, the fur is thicker and darker. Each hair is hollow inside. This works like a thermos. The air inside the hair retains heat. This is exactly why the moose gets hot already at a temperature of -5 degrees. They literally love the frost. At temperatures below zero, the moose feels comfortable. At +10, it begins to overheat and looks for water or shade. The hooves of a moose are wide and strong. Due to the wide spacing, they work like snowshoes. The moose does not sink where any horse would get stuck up to its belly. A moose walks confidently through a swamp. If the soil is very soft, it lies on its belly and pushes off with its hind legs, virtually crawling. And this is an animal weighing half a ton. And now about what catches the eye the most. About the antlers. The antlers of a moose are a record among all living animals on the planet. The antler span of an adult male can reach 180 centimeters, almost 2 meters from tip to tip. They weigh from 20 to 35 kilograms. Imagine that you are carrying 2 packed suitcases on your head. That is roughly how life feels with such antlers. But the main thing in these antlers is not the size. The main thing is how they are structured and how they grow. Only males have antlers. Females are antlerless. And every year, every single one without exception, the male completely sheds the antlers and grows new ones. He sheds them in November to December after the end of the breeding season. New ones start to grow in April to May. And they grow at an incredible speed of up to 2 centimeters per day. This is the fastest growing living tissue among all mammals on Earth. No other bone grows at such a speed in any creature known to us. While the antlers are growing, they are soft, covered with thin skin with dense fur. Hunters call this velvet. This skin is permeated with blood vessels through which the growing bone tissue is nourished. The antlers during this period are very sensitive. A blow to them is painful. An insect bite is irritating. The moose behaves more cautiously than usual during the growth period of the antlers. By July, the antlers harden. In August and September, the male begins to clean the velvet off them. He rubs his antlers against trees, bushes, everything that comes along. This looks a bit scary. Shreds of skin hang from the antlers, and the whole head is covered in blood. But this is a normal process. After cleaning, the antlers become hard, sharp, and ready for the main task, the tournament for the female. The shape of the antlers is different for different moose. The classic version is the shovel shape, a wide flat part with tines along the edges. The shovel can be so wide that 2 males walking towards each other physically cannot pass each other in a narrow corridor between trees. The antlers simply will not pass. There is also another type without the shovel shape, just tines in a horizontal plane. This is the so-called deer-like type of antlers. Both options are found in European moose. Antlers are a status tool. The larger the antlers, the more tines there are. The older and stronger the male, the higher his position in the hierarchy. A young moose in its first year grows simple spikes without any branches. In the 3rd year, the first forks appear. By 5 to 6 years, the antlers begin to take on an adult shape. The male reaches maximum development by 8 to 12 years, and that is when his antlers become a true work of nature. By the antlers, an experienced hunter or biologist can determine the age of a moose almost as accurately as a dendrologist determines the age of a tree by its annual rings. But what happens after the antlers are shed is something many do not know. Shed antlers do not lie in the forest as dead weight. They are eaten by mice, squirrels, hares, even other moose, all willingly gnaw shed antlers. The reason is simple. They contain a huge amount of calcium and phosphorus. In the conditions of the northern forest, where winter mineral nutrition is extremely scarce, shed antlers are a real treasure. Finding intact shed antlers in the forest is very difficult, precisely because they are eaten very quickly. Now let's talk about what most people do not know about the moose and what changes the attitude towards this beast completely, about what it is really capable of. And let's start with the hooves. Everyone knows that a horse kicks with its hind legs. A powerful strike backward is a classic. A moose can do the same, but it has something a horse does not have. It strikes with its front legs in different directions simultaneously. This is something I honestly did not know before I started looking into this topic. It is like a karate fighter's strikes, sharp, wide, with a twist. One such strike with a front hoof to a bear's head, and the bear receives an injury incompatible with continuing the attack. This is exactly why even a brown bear prefers not to mess with a healthy adult moose in an open area. The hooves on the front legs are sharpened in a special way. They turn into a weapon, not metaphorically, but literally. One precise strike is capable of piercing the skull of a large predator. A cow moose defending a calf attacks a bear exactly like this. She stands between the offspring and the predator and thrashes with her front legs. Bears know about this and prefer to hunt moose in thick brush, where the animal is restricted in movement. In an open space, even a brown bear gives way. The speed of a moose is another thing people usually underestimate. In a calm run, a moose develops 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. This is faster than most city cars accelerate in the first meters. In a short burst, it is even faster, and at the same time, it does not lose maneuverability. A moose knows how to orient itself well in the forest between trees and through deadfalls. Running away from it in the forest is practically impossible. Hiding is also extremely difficult because the nose and ears work significantly better than ours. If you suddenly find yourself in the forest next to an aggressive moose, the best tactic is one: find a thick tree and start walking slowly around it, keeping the trunk between yourself and the animal. The moose is not a predator. It does not need to eat you. It will make several attempts to attack and retreat, but several times. This is several times. This is not just one strike, and that's it. Therefore, a tree between you is a serious insurance policy. I knew this in theory, but one day the theory became practice. I was walking through the forest park, thinking about my own things, completely not looking around. I raised my head, and 20 to 30 meters away from me stands a huge male with antlers. He stands motionless, looking straight at me. He got into a stance, head slightly lowered, ears pressed back. I remembered everything right then. Do not make sudden movements. Do not look into the eyes. Slowly step backward. That is what I did. Very slowly, very calmly, step by step. He did not move. I got lucky. Since then, I walk into the forest differently and look around. The moose swims. Many know this, but few know how well a moose is capable of covering distances up to 5 kilometers by water without stopping and diving to a depth of up to 6 meters. Why dive? For food. The moose is a big fan of aquatic plants, water lilies, pond lilies, horsetail. These plants are rich in nutrients and salts, which are scarce in forest food. In summer, the moose regularly goes into lakes and rivers precisely for the underwater pasture. To dive and not choke at the same time, the moose has special valves in its nostrils. They close underwater automatically. A moose can stay underwater for up to 3 minutes and eats right there, at depth. It bites off the stems, rises for air, and dives again. It is this underwater hobby that sometimes leads to unexpected encounters. Off the coasts of Alaska and Canada, moose feeding in coastal waters are sometimes spotted by killer whales. Yes, killer whales hunt moose. This is not an urban legend. These are documented cases. The killer whale waits underwater and attacks from below. A moose that has dived for a water lily does not expect this. For the forest giant, an encounter with a marine predator is a complete surprise. Now about nutrition. This is a separate story. A moose eats a lot, a very lot. An adult male consumes up to 30 kilograms of plant food per day. 30 kilograms is roughly like 3 large bags of groceries from a store. Every day without days off. The diet changes by season. In summer, it is grass, leaves, shoots, aquatic plants, mushrooms. Yes, mushrooms. A moose eats mushrooms with pleasure, including fly agarics. Presumably, fly agarics act on the moose as a light hallucinogen. Cases are known when moose, after feeding on a fly agaric field, behaved very non-standardly, roughly the same way they behave after overripe apples or fermented berries. A moose that has overeaten fermented fruit is a separate story to which we will return. In autumn, the moose switches to branches and shoots. By November, almost completely, only twig food. The winter diet includes willow, pine, aspen, rowan, birch, raspberry. A moose bites off shoots up to 10 millimeters thick. It gnaws bark during thaws. In a severe frost, it is too hard. An interesting fact about the moose's saliva: it contains substances that stimulate plant growth. Where a moose has browsed branches, new shoots grow twice as fast and thick. That is, the moose, by feeding, actually gardens, shaping the forest around itself. This is not an accident, but part of the ecosystem balance that has been forming for millions of years. Eating is also interesting for a moose. Like all ruminants, cows, deer, giraffes, the moose regurgitates food and chews it again. Food passes through several compartments of the stomach, where microorganisms digest it. Without these microorganisms, the moose would not be able to digest coarse bark and branches. There is too much cellulose there. And on the tongue of a moose, there are significantly fewer taste buds than in humans. Bark and branches are normal, quite acceptable food in taste for it. The moose constantly needs salt and minerals, almost everywhere in their habitat. Moose regularly visit salt licks, places where there is a high content of salt in the soil or water. They drink brackish water, gnaw earth rich in minerals, lick stones. Without a regular intake of salt, a moose's digestion is disrupted. That is why, in spring, when the snow melts and washes reagents from the roads, moose sometimes go straight onto the highway. They lick salt from the asphalt. This is one of the causes of spring traffic accidents. In a day, a moose consumes a huge amount of water, especially in summer. Without a watering hole, it can't normally digest such an amount of dry food. This is another reason why moose live near bodies of water, and here begins what competitors in the forest do not like very much. The moose weighs half a ton, eats kilograms a day, and is an absolute loner. It needs a huge territory rich in food, a minimum of 400 hectares per animal. It does not share. It does not tolerate competitors. And this explains why the moose is constantly in conflict with someone, with other moose, with wolves, with bears, with dogs, with cars, with people. It is not aggressive by nature. It is just very serious about its territory, its food, and its safety. And with a creature weighing 600 kilograms, it is better not to argue with these priorities. Write in the comments if you have encountered a moose in the forest, on the road, or maybe right in the city. I am truly interested because, judging by statistics, there are significantly more such people than it seems. And we move on to the most spectacular period in the life of this animal, to the time of year when even the most cautious and calm moose loses its head, to the rutting season. The rut in moose begins in late August, early September, and this is perhaps the strangest and most dangerous period in the life of this animal. A male in the rutting season is a different creature. He almost stops eating. In 2 months, he loses up to 100 kilograms of weight. But he walks a lot. In a night, a male can walk 50 to 70 kilometers in search of a female, through the forest, through fields, across roads, across rivers, through villages. He does not care right now. Hormones override everything else. The instinct of self-preservation, caution, the habit of avoiding people. At this time, the moose makes sounds. Hunters call this a groan, a quiet, muffled moaning that spreads through the forest for several kilometers. Females also make sounds, a calling cry to which males react immediately. Special glands allow the male to recognize the female by scent at a huge distance. When 2 males meet near one female, a tournament begins. They clash antlers. The blow sounds so that it can be heard half a kilometer away. A dry, sharp crack of colliding bone. The fights do not always end quickly. Sometimes the males push and shove each other for minutes. The weak one eventually retreats. The winner, all in blood from cuts by sharp tines, stays with the female. It can be worse. Antlers sometimes lock tightly. The tines enter into each other so that the emulation males cannot separate. Both die of exhaustion and hunger, tightly connected by their own weapon. Biologists find such pairs in the forest. This is a rarity, but it happens. During the rut, males throw themselves at everything that moves or makes an unfamiliar sound. At snowmobiles, lawnmowers, tractors, cars. A male who in normal times will leave the road 50 meters away, during the rut can turn around and attack first. That is why autumn is the most dangerous season for collisions of moose with cars. Tell the truth, are you afraid of moose? Not bears, not wolves, specifically moose. Write in the comments, because for me, after studying this topic, the answer changed. After the rut, the males shed their antlers. They are no longer needed, and they go to winter in solitude, thin, exhausted, with empty flanks, while the females, pregnant with offspring inside, prepare for the most difficult period. Pregnancy in a cow moose lasts 225 to 240 days. Calving occurs in April to May. The cow brings 1 or 2 calves, less often 3, which is a great rarity. Calves are born light red without spots. They weigh from 6 to 16 kilograms. The first days they can hardly walk. Their legs do not hold them. The mother licks them, warms them, feeds them with milk. Moose milk is very fatty, up to 19% fat content, about 3 times fattier than cow's milk. The calves grow fast. By the autumn of their first year, they already weigh 120 to 130 kilograms. And here, a question arises that you might have already asked yourself. Would you like to ride on a moose? A serious question. Write in the comments, because next will be the story of how people tried to do this for millennia and what came out of it. May is a dangerous month. A cow moose with a newborn calf is the most dangerous combination in the forest. Not a bear, not a wolf, not a human. A mother who has a cub is the real threat. At this time, cow moose are the first to attack without warning. They do not wait for someone to approach them. They go towards the threat themselves. That is why May is the second most dangerous month for traffic accidents with moose. Cows with calves cross roads often, cross highways. And the grown calves of the previous year, whom the mother drives away at this time, begin an independent life, running through the forest without knowing the roads. Young and inexperienced, they run out onto the highway without warning. Now let's talk about the moose and the road, because this is a topic that is little talked about, and in vain. The moose is the most dangerous animal for motorists in Russia, Scandinavia, and New America. Not a bear, not a wolf, specifically the moose. The reason is the physics of the collision. A moose stands on long legs. The center of gravity of its body is located at a height of more than a meter above the ground. When a car hits a moose, it cuts the legs, and a carcass weighing 300 to 600 kilograms flies forward and down, straight into the windshield and roof. Crumple zones, airbags, all of this is designed for a frontal impact. They do not protect against an impact from above. At a speed of 70 kilometers per hour, such a collision is fatal for the driver and front passenger. In Russia, about 700 accidents with moose are recorded every year. In 2023 alone, 92 people died in such accidents, and another 935 were injured. In the States, there are 2 million collisions annually, 440 dead. A separate strange thing. A moose does not run away from a car the way a deer runs away. A deer is timid, reacts quickly, goes into the forest. A moose stands, looks, slows down, and then can make a not entirely adequate decision. This is a quote from an official statement of the Belarusian Ministry of Forestry, and it will rush right under the wheels. This special psychophysiological type of behavior explains why there are 6 times more collisions with moose than with deer. Although deer are numerically superior, this strangeness, standing and looking, worked in the forest for thousands of years. The moose stops, assesses the threat, makes a decision. Predators know this and behave predictably. A car does not. A car does not emit a scent, does not behave like a living creature, does not give clear signals. The moose does not understand it, so it reacts unpredictably. If you are driving at night through a forest area and see a wild animal sign, reduce your speed to 40 kilometers per hour. Not because of the sign, but because at 70, you will not have time to brake. A moose comes out of the forest in a second, sometimes less.